Hello. Now that we realize that the whole idea of the government rolling out a moral studies curricula for schools may not be such a good idea, then what would be the suggested solution? Where does government go from here? Do they step back in their car and drive back where they came from? What is the suggested solution? What is the silver bullet that we may use in order to slay many of the radical views that we see in the internet? Now, many bloggers have written about this subject, and many have advocated the whole idea of using critical thinking as the preferred platform to deal with many of the radical views that we see in the internet. Now, what do I think about this idea? I think it's a great idea. And the whole logic of using critical thinking makes a lot of sense, because right now, if you look at most netizens, they are basically so open-minded that their brains are spilling out. So the goal there, when you use critical thinking skill sets, is that you actually instill in them a discipline whereby they would distinguish, evaluate, analyze, and winnow truths from lies. And the goal there is to hopefully create a more discerning society that not only has a very high level of perceptive skills, but because they are discriminatory in the way in which they filter information, they will be better placed to make an informed decision. So, on paper, this whole idea of using or recruiting critical thinking skills to solve many of the woes that we have in the internet is a fantastic idea. But I don't think that many of these advocates really understand what they are suggesting, because the whole idea of critical thinking as a skill set, and the fact that whether it can be brought to bear on the internet, is something that cannot be considered unless you first ask yourself one important question. How would governments react to that whole idea? Would governments be receptive to the whole idea of citizens thinking critically? And I think this is an important question, because it is a question that has never really been asked before. Now, historically, I would say that governments and critical thinkers get along as well as cats and dogs. They don't get along well because governments usually proceed along the assumption that they have already conceived certain timeless and universal ideas and of